Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So now that there is more certainty with the type of playoffs that the NHL is going to have after the NHLPA has passed the 2014 playoff format proposal, now let's going to see what's going to happen with the type of games, how many games are going to be in, say, the first qualifying rounds of the teams, a lot of them that weren't originally in a playoff spot, and who are they going to face off then for the winners of those qualifying rounds, because what originally seemed like there was security with teams ranked 1 through 4 that were the best 4 teams in each conference that would get a bye that don't have to play in the qualifying round. Now, of course, I've seen speculation since then that very well could be a situation where of those 4 teams, they have to play each other in order to be ranked 1 through 4, which can dictate who they play out of those qualifying rounds. So a lot of things still need to get figured out. The NHL is currently in phase 2 of bringing hockey back, as we all know, and a lot of things really need to get cleared up, and I expect a lot to change. And with this format overall, everything is subject to change. So what I could be talking about now with the type of format and the teams that are going to be playing each other, that very well could be different in a month or so, maybe even earlier. But I'm going to just stick with what I know right now. And of the Eastern and Western Conference, there's a lot of very interesting and really fun looking matchups. And starting off in the Western Conference for the qualifying rounds, you have the Calgary Flames versus the Winnipeg Jets. That's going to be a very fun series, in my opinion. These are 2 teams that have been desperate to have a deep playoff run for quite some time now, with the Winnipeg Jets looking like the favorites here, in my opinion. Nothing against the Flames personally, but the Flames don't have an offense like they used to since they've done the coaching change of Bill Peters. They have been a more defensively minded team, and if you look at their seasonal statistics, they were ranked 18th in overall offense, and then they were ranked 16th in overall defense versus the Jets, who were ranked 18th in offense, and the Calgary Flames were 19th in offense, with the Jets just being a little bit better. But the Jets have a significantly better defense on paper, surprisingly, at 12th for their defense, which is surprising because going into the season, they lost that whole right side of defense, and it looked like they were going to have a huge problem. But between Paul Maurice doing a fantastic job in coaching them this season, in my opinion, and Connor Hellebuyck playing on his head, having a huge bounce back year for them, and being not really arguably, statistically, the best goaltender in all the NHL this season, that has helped them a ton. But with all those reasons, and of course that offense that can click and just hasn't clicked as consistently as some would have expected, with, of course, Kyle Connor, who's having a ridiculous year for them with over 70 points. Then, of course, you have Patrick Laine, who can shoot it, and he's a great playmaker too, and that really doesn't get as recognized as I believe he deservedly should. And then with other guys, of course, whether it be Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, Nikolai Ehlers, who's having a really strong season for them, all those guys contributing, I really think they just are a better overall team than the Calgary Flames and have more size on them, like physical size on the offensive front. So for all those reasons, I think the Winnipeg Jets are going to beat the Calgary Flames, and assuming that it is a best-of-5 series, I could see the Jets winning in around 4. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there, but expect the Jets to have a very strong series. For their next series, then, you have the Vancouver Canucks versus the Minnesota Wild. That's a very fun one, too, as these are 2 teams who haven't been in the playoffs or really haven't had deep runs in quite some time, with both of them really being out of a playoff spot. Even though the Canucks were tied for points in the second wildcard spot, just one went out, they were still technically both out of a playoff spot, so seeing them both end is going to be a lot of fun. And if you look at how their seasons were going, the Canucks were looking very strong on the offensive front, with guys like JT Miller really stepping up, Elias Pettersson playing as good as he has and is going to only continue to get better, and with some unsung heroes for each team. And if you look at the Minnesota Wild, Kevin Fiala has really blossomed into being their best overall forward, and really showing that there's plenty left for him and really has plenty more to grow than one would have expected when he first arrived in Minnesota from the Nashville Predators. But between these 2 teams, I really have to give the upper hand to the Vancouver Canucks, and here's why. If you look at their seasonal statistics, and I know playoff mentality is different, but if you just look at their seasonal statistics, Vancouver was currently ranked 8th in overall offense versus Minnesota, that was 13th, and Minnesota had the 25th ranked defense to, of course, the Vancouver Canucks 22nd ranked defense. And While they are kind of close in defense, I still think Vancouver has an upper hand as they have a better overall offense. I don't trust Minnesota with the likes of Eric Stahl and Zach Parise, who are really playing better than I guess they should be at this point in their careers. It's great what they are doing, but to think that they will consistently be strong for them in each game of the playoff might be getting a little bit ahead of themselves, as they are one of the older teams in the NHL with their better players. And Ryan Suter on that defense, while he is strong, he is not the Ryan Suter of his prime. And Vancouver just has more young, better offensive weapons, in my opinion, and a defensive blue line led by Quinn Hughes that can really shake up the trajectory of any game. And Jacob Markstrom, when healthy, and he should be healthy back in the playoffs for the Canucks, look out, because he was having a very strong season for them up until his injury. Next now for the matchups, you have the Nashville Predators versus the Arizona Coyotes. That's going to be a fun one too, as they, I don't believe, have ever played each other in the playoffs before, or at least haven't in quite some time. And that's going to be a fun matchup with Arizona. Yes, they have been struggling on the offensive front, but I think they have something to prove. And this is going to be a very interesting matchup. I think the Nashville Predators are going to edge out the Arizona Coyotes, but not by much. If you look at their seasonal statistics, the Predators were currently ranked 16th in offense and 21st in defense versus the Arizona Coyotes, who were 23rd in offense but 3rd in defense. The Coyotes have sneakily had one of the best defensive overall teams in all of the NHL this season. I'm a huge fan of Jacob Churchman, and I could be saying his name wrong on the defense for them. And of course, Darcy Kuemper, when healthy, has looked very solid. And Antti Raanta, he has unfortunately dealt with a fair share of injuries since arriving in Arizona, but when healthy, has been a very solid 1A, 1B goaltender for them. So if Arizona can be healthy, then look out. I can see them having a strong series, but overall, with the experience and a lot to prove for the Predators, as they have been to the Cup just a couple years ago, they still have that core group there, and led by Roman Josi, their captain, I fully expect them to win that series. And if I had to guess in the amount of games, I would say it would probably be in around 4 games. And when it comes back also to the Canucks and Wild for their games, I would say that would probably go a best of 5 games. I think that one is going to be closer than one would have expected. Now getting on to the last matchup for the qualifying round in the Western Conference, and that is the Edmonton Oilers against the Chicago Blackhawks. This should be one of the most electrifying qualifying rounds in all of the NHL to start the playoffs, as the Oilers and the Blackhawks have dominating offenses at times, and when they play each other, they can really light the lamp. If you look at the Oilers side of things, they are currently ranked 14th on offense and 15th on defense. One of the most evenly balanced teams in all of the NHL this season, kind of surprisingly, depending on who you may ask. And when the Blackhawks, they have the 18th ranked offense and the 18th ranked defense. So not terrible, but their defense has really looked suspect at times this year. And losing guys like Robin Lehner at the trade deadline could really, looking back, hurt them now being in the playoffs. But out of this series, I fully expect the Edmonton Oilers to win, while the Blackhawks have Kane Taves, Dominic Kubalik, who has been a fantastic rookie for them, Alex DeBrincat, who I really love his overall game, Dylan Strome, the list goes on and on. While they had that experience there and a good mix of younger players, the Oilers have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, arguably the 2 best players in all of the NHL, and just that alone is enough, in my opinion, to beat a subpar defense in the Chicago Blackhawks. I expect the Oilers to win the series, but in a best of 5, as I believe it'll be very high scoring on both ends. But with the way that Draisaitl has played when McDavid's been hurt, and overall with having guys healthy like Clefbaum on that blue line has really had a fantastic year when healthy. And on the offensive front, Killer Yamamoto looking very strong for them, of course, since being called up. And the NHL trade deadline moves that they made with acquiring Andreas Athanasiou and Tyler Ennis, bringing more speed in that top 6 is going to benefit them a ton. So I fully expect them to win in 5 games. Now on to the Eastern Conference. You have the first matchup being the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is a quite interesting deal, if you will, because you have the Leafs, who are basically the complete opposite of the Blue Jackets, and vice versa. The Leafs are currently ranked 3rd in all the NHL in offense versus the Blue Jackets with 29th, but the Blue Jackets have the 4th ranked defense and the Leafs have the 27th ranked defense. So really flip-flopping when it comes to the type of teams that these guys are. John Tortorella, knowing for being a defensively minded head coach, has done fantastic with Columbus in that category, and Columbus really will be healthy. Getting some guys like That will really benefit their offense, of course. And on that blue line, having Seth Jones healthy, I'm assuming, Zach Werenski, they're fantastic on the blue line. And having Oliver Bjorkstrand back from injury along with other forwards, that could really benefit them. But overall, I do expect Toronto to win this series. They need to win the series. I don't think they want to fall in that trap that Tampa Bay did last year with getting swept by the Blue Jackets, of course, in the first round, even though it was a much different Blue Jackets team then. I expect the Toronto Maple Leafs to win this series in around 4 games. Next, now, you have the New York Islanders versus the Florida Panthers. This should be a kind of underrated matchup too, as you had the Islanders really were sliding downward up until the pause, and the Florida Panthers kind of being up and down, but the Panthers do have an offense that one clicking is electric. So going to the Islanders, they are currently the 22nd ranked offense and the 9th ranked defense, and the Panthers have the 6th ranked offense and the 28th ranked defense. So kind of similar thing where the defense definitely goes to the upper hand of the Islanders and the offense definitely goes to the upper hand of the Panthers. Now, this is going to be a very interesting matchup, but while I really think the Panthers have a strong shot and I would like to see them win, as they haven't had a deep playoff run in quite some time, I think the Islanders will, led by Barry Trotz. Barry Trotz is a fantastic head coach. He knows what it takes to win. I think he's going to help the Islanders get back into their playoff mentality and help them go on a deep run this year. But I fully expect, honestly, the Islanders to beat the Panthers, but I think it'll be a best of 5 games. I think it'll be neck and neck, so I won't be surprised at all if the Panthers maybe pull an upset. But as of right now, I expect the Islanders to win. And next, you have the Carolina Hurricanes versus the New York Rangers, one of the most fun, in my opinion, qualifying round matchups. And we all know the reports we've seen with the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Carolina Hurricanes being the two teams being against the 2014 playoff format, and really isn't helping Carolina's cause, in my opinion, with really coming out, and Jordan Martinook, I believe, who was their player, to announce that they didn't want to go for this, and saying how they really weren't happy with the decision, and of course it feels that they were deserving of an advantage and they aren't getting one with playing the Rangers. So with that being said, that is giving an upper hand to the Rangers on a mentality basis, but regardless, this should be a really fun series. And while I am a Rangers fan, and I'm really trying to say this unbiasedly, I do expect the Rangers to win this series. But if you look on paper, Carolina is a better overall team. They have the 9th ranked offense in the league this season and the 8th ranked defense, versus the Rangers, who have the 7th ranked offense, one of the better ones in all of the NHL, but they have the 23rd ranked defense. But I expect the Rangers to win just because of recent history with them having the upper hand over the Hurricanes. Not just this season alone with being 4-0 against them in the regular season. In the Rangers' last 37 games against the Carolina Hurricanes, they have a record of 31-6. For whatever reason, the Rangers have just seemed to be the Carolina Hurricanes' kryptonite in recent years. So because of that reason, I'm going to favor the Rangers in 5 games. But honestly, I do expect it to be another neck-and-neck series. And I am a fan of the Hurricanes overall. I have nothing against them at all. And I had some Hurricanes fans that were really upset with me just making jokes on social media about the Hurricanes not being for the 2014 format. It's all in good and fun. It's nothing personal, and I really am not going to be upset if the Carolina Hurricanes outbeat the Rangers by any means. If they do, then I want to see them have a deep run for sure. But now the last series I have for you today is, of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Habs, of course, the Montreal Canadiens. This is the easiest series to pick from, in my opinion. You have the Penguins, who have been dominant all year long, and getting Jake Gensel back in the playoffs is going to make them that much better. They currently have the 10th ranked offense and the 11th ranked defense, to the Habs, who have the 20th ranked offense and the 17th ranked defense. I fully expect the Penguins to win the series. I'm sorry, Habs. I just don't see it happening. I don't think Carey Price is going to be enough for the Habs to help stop the Penguins and that elite overall team, not just offense, defensively, and the goaltending led by Tristan Jarry and Matt Murray at times has been very strong for them. And with all the weapons that the Pens have on that offensive front, besides Crosby and Malkin, of course, there's just so much to like, and I fully expect them to have a very deep playoff this year. So expect the Penguins to beat the Habs, and I expect them to do so in 4 games. I don't think it'll be a sweep. I don't think there will be any sweeps in that first round if it goes 5, but I expect them to win 3 of those games out of the 4. So with all that things being said, that's going to conclude this video. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and let me know who you think is going to win the first round of playoffs, that qualifying round. I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you think it's going to be the matchups that were originally proposed, or will it be different? And who are the top 4 teams for each conference, where do you think they're going to be ranked and who will they play after that qualifying round? I would love to hear your thoughts. But if you haven't checked out my previous videos, including my last one regarding the 2014 playoff format, please check them out right down here below, as well as my recent videos right down here. And if you haven't checked out other videos, please do. And if you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, comment, all those great things. I really appreciate it. And I'll be back in a day or two.